Welcome to this week's episode of Sportsline here on Daily Mirror Online. I'm your host Shehan Daniel, and with us today is a key figure in one of cricket's rising leagues, the Abu Dhabi T10. The league has attracted some of the game's biggest international stars, promising more of the same when the fourth season starts in December. Arvinder Singh is the COO of the Abu Dhabi T10 League, and he joins us from the UAE. Thanks for joining us, Arvinder.
My pleasure, Shehan. Thanks.
So let me start by asking you about the Abu Dhabi T10 League itself. This year is the fourth iteration of the tournament. How popular has it been so far in terms of building a global audience?
Okay, so this is the fifth season, and yes, year on year, this league has been gaining in popularity across the cricketing world. And over the past 5 years, it definitely has achieved a niche place for itself as far as T10, the format, is concerned. We were the pioneers in starting this in 2017, and today when we move into the fifth season and look back on this journey, it's been very exciting and an exponential increase in terms of the global audience. And with the new broadcast partners both in India and abroad, the rest of the world as such, to about 88 countries is where this goes live, whether on OTT or on TV itself. So there has been an exponential increase in the reach of the league as such, and we expect the numbers to keep growing even faster as we move forward.
What have you been able to learn through the last 4 seasons?
Any specific aspect that you asked?
In terms of growing this league and building that audience, and also how difficult has it been not having main Indian cricketers participating? Has that been a challenge?
So let me take the last part first.
Yeah.
Indian cricketers are not allowed to participate not only in the Abu Dhabi T10 League but also in any other league across the globe. So it's nothing different for us. But we have been fortunate, both in the past as well as now, that few cricketers who announced their retirement and not contracted with the association or with the BCCI have already participated in this. Some big names are like Yuvraj Singh, Sehwag, Zaheer Khan. These kind of names players have participated in this league in the past, and this year we have Yusuf Pathan, who's part of one of the teams for the upcoming season. So that is something we have to live with. That is not any different than any other league around the world. Till they are allowed by the BCCI to participate, there's nothing much that we can do about it. Having said that, if you see over the years, the number of players and the quality of players of stature who have participated in this league has been growing. Just to share with you, in the upcoming season, we have 32 players who are representing their countries in the World Cup. 32 of them will be playing, as part of one of the teams in the season just after the World Cup finishes. So that is a big number. I'm sure you've gone through the list of players. We have a very good pool of players who are participating, and that itself, kind of affects the kind of cricket that is played, the quality of cricket that is played, and that has always been our focus. The focus has always been the quality of cricket, and that's what we aim, that we try and get the best players possible. As far as the journey of T10 is concerned, if you allow me, I will just say that with Abu Dhabi government having partnered for 5 years from the 2019 season onwards, so this is the third season of this partnership. That of course has helped us a lot. In terms of we get access to the Sheikh Zayed Stadium in Abu Dhabi, and they have become the host city partner. That's why it's called the Abu Dhabi T10 League, and that itself has lent a lot of credence to the league per se. And so that is one of the major aspects that helped this league grow. And despite the COVID pandemic that we had last year, we were one of the few leagues who still went through this. Like I said, we couldn't do it in November, December that we usually, is our preferred time because of the weather conditions here. But we did it in the end of January, early February this year, last year's season. And, we were able to showcase the fact that despite the extreme COVID pandemic that was on at that point of time, we had an incident-free season conducted. And the success of that has led us now, as compared to 10 days in the past, we have the tournament over 15 days now. And as against 29 matches that we had earlier, we would be having 35 matches this year. So all this is a reflection of the growth of the league. At the end of the day, there are commercials involved, there are finances involved. So as we are growing, so we also increasing the number of days and number of matches, better players coming into this league, and that has always been what we had planned in the past.
You mentioned about COVID, how you had to conduct last year's tournament through the pandemic. How has that changed? How you plan the tournament? What kind of, in terms of precautions you needed to take? Like, how has it changed your thinking?
There is a slight advantage that T10 has in terms of the biosecurity environment that one has to provide. Whilst we ensure that all the COVID protocols that are laid down by the ICC, the Emirates Cricket Board, and within ourselves, so we have already been working towards it, whether it is from hotels perspective or transport or at the match at the stadium itself. So all that is laid down. What was followed last year will be followed as per the government guidelines and as per the ICC guidelines. Having said that, when I speak of the advantage, you see it's a 15-day tournament, and each of the teams will be playing a minimum of 10 days. So unlike, let's say, the World Cup or even the IPL that was conducted recently here with 2.5-3 months long bubbles, it's obviously very tiring on the players. It's something that affects them even from a mental perspective. But in this case, they are out of their rooms, or at least on 10 of the 15 days. I'm not counting the 3 days of practice before that. So it is not as intense a bubble from the player perspective as it is in other leagues where they play only after every 2-3 days. So that makes it slightly more comfortable for them. And the duration also is only 15 days, so that helps.
Could you talk a bit about how you got involved with the league and how you've seen it evolve in that time?
Okay, I have my background is from the IPL. I handled Kings 11 Punjab, at that time Kings 11 Punjab, now Punjab Kings, for about 6 years. And then, of course, I also handled Gujarat Lions when they came into being for 2 years as the CEO. And in 2018, I got into the T10 League. So I've been involved with them since 2018.
You mentioned you were involved with the IPL also. Are there any similarities you see between how the IPL operates and how the T10 League operates?
I think the levels are totally different. The duration is totally different. The format is totally different. But when it comes to the basics, at the end of the day, it is cricket. It is cricket in another format. It is just cricket in another format, and the focus has to be on cricket. The advantage is there is no travel involved because it is only one stadium. From a league perspective, also, because there I used to handle a franchise and now I handle the league here. It still is one stadium. So, really speaking, the basics remain the same, whether it is from an operational perspective or an overall marketing perspective or a sales perspective. But of course, it's a much smaller league. My role from being the CEO of a franchise, of course, is now handling the league as such. So I will not say from a cricketing perspective or an operational perspective, there's not much difference. Of course, the scale is different.
Just as quickly as we see, these leagues coming up around the world, we also see a lot of them running into difficulties. Even Sri Lanka, in 2012, we had the Sri Lanka Premier League, which struggled to get past the first year. How has the Abu Dhabi T10 League kind of navigated this and ensured that it is able to continue year on year?
Again, it's a different format. You see, for any league to succeed, for any format to succeed, the first people who have to take on to it, in my view, is the players. So when it started in 2017, it was just a 4-day event among 5 teams. All right. But the response to that from the players and subsequently the audience was heartening to see. And then, of course, it became a 10-day event from 2018 onwards. 29 matches in 10 days, triple headers, double headers. So, from a format perspective, this has been accepted by the players. That's the first thing that has to be done. T20, there are a number of leagues that are happening for sure, and of course they're doing well for themselves. But rather than focusing on what the others are doing, my intention or the league's intention is to ensure that we provide a very suitable platform for this particular format. And I think that's what we have been able to achieve. And obviously people come back to us year on year, and our pool is increasing. I can share with you, you would have seen the draft earlier on the 7th of this month. I had a total registration of players from 26 different countries. 1,186 players registered. So that is the kind of response from the cricketing fraternity that is coming. Couple that with the growth in the audiences who have kind of liked this format, year-on-year growth. Last year we had an 83% increase in viewership across the globe. So, these are signs that this format is being accepted, and the way we conduct it and the way we make it easy for the players to be able to participate in this league, and the way we, it is all the small things. They may seem small, but got to get the whole jigsaw puzzle together. So if we are able to do it year on year, obviously the players want to come back, the viewers want to come back. That's how it's happening.
Do you foresee a future where cricket is predominantly operated by these franchise leagues, where maybe like in football, where the international game is not so prominent, or do you think that international cricket can always hold its position as the pinnacle of the game?
There is no bigger honor for any player than to represent his country, right? And as far as the most accepted format from I don't want to sound traditional or otherwise, but despite the growth of the limited overs cricket, whether it was 50 or 20 or 10 now, Test cricket has always been for the purists, it's always that is the best form of cricket. So Test cricket will exist, in my opinion, no doubt about it. And there is no bigger honor for a player than to represent his country there. So there is no comparison as such. Franchise-based cricket, yes, of course, it gives options to players. It gives them platforms to perform, and at the end of the day, earn some money as well. Why not? But international cricket is international cricket. Yes, franchise-based cricket is something that has been accepted across the world, whether it's the Big Bash in Australia, CPL, your Sri Lanka Premier League, the Bangladesh League, the Pakistan Super League, the Abu Dhabi T10 League. The ones that are conducted properly will stay put. The ones that are not conducted properly will fall by the wayside. So it's not that. And these franchise-based cricket is again based on the availability of players as per the FTP. So you have to find your space within the overall cricketing calendar. And then because of the surfeit of leagues that is happening, like for example, your own Sri Lanka Premier League will start one day after the Abu Dhabi T10 League ends on the 4th of December. So if players are available and if the league is conducted properly, even it's good for the players. The players also have various options where to play. So I think it is a good thing, but international cricket is definitely, I don't think it can be replaced. And all the formats are actually living with each other, and they have their own fans and supporters.
Would you like to see T10 become an international format, or you think it's more of just entertainment-driven league?
No. I would definitely not like to call it an entertainment-driven league. If you have seen how this league is conducted, our prime focus is what happens on the ground. Yes, there are a lot of things involved in ensuring that it is conducted in that, to an international standard, and we put a lot of focus and energy onto that. But at the end of the day, my personal belief is that the cricket is not good enough. You can keep doing anything outside of it, but we always come to watch cricket at the end of the day, and not what is happening outside of it. The cricket has to be good. The quality of cricket has to be good. The teams have to perform. The players have to perform. So from that perspective, cricket remains the total focus as far as we are concerned. Yes, while not taking anything away from what, from a viewer's perspective, what needs to be done, to make the whole consumer experience, so to say, something as a package deal, for sure. But the primary focus, is definitely cricket.
One area of the sport that is undeveloped within individual cricket playing countries is a lack of support for women's cricket. And even with franchise leagues, there are only a handful of tournaments that happen for women. Is that something that the Abu Dhabi T10 will look to address in the future? I think we already had an IPL women's tournament in the UAE as well, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Shah. Absolutely. There is a possibility of that happening, for sure. To say that we are just satisfied with the Abu Dhabi T10 happening once a year, no, definitely not. We are definitely looking at other areas and countries where we can, take this format to. Another point which I just missed out earlier when you spoke about taking it international. ICC is now looking to, try and have cricket in the Olympics. Considering the format and the duration of each game, and if you've kind of followed what players like Gale, Morgan, Bravo, Russell, the bigger names who have given so much of pleasure to cricketers around the world, especially in the shorter format. So from that perspective, if you really see, it is quite an option, and these players are supporting it that the T10 format goes into the Olympics. From a time perspective, because it takes 3.5 hours for a T20 game. It takes 90 minutes for a T10, for a 10-over game. So there is a possibility that, obviously the powers that we will decide, ICC will decide what is the format, and depends upon the International Olympic Council. But at the end of the day, there is another option for taking cricket into the Olympics under this format. As far as women's is concerned, yes, it is on the cards. I cannot say as to when that will happen, but yes, we are talking to a couple of boards to see if we can conduct. It has to be viable. It has to be viable. The players have to be available. The players have to accept it at the end of the day. So yes, it is part of our bigger plans. Let's see how it fructifies.
There have been several players who have been charged with match fixing in the Abu Dhabi T10 League. Sri Lanka's own Nuwan Soisa was banned for 6 years, and most recently Marlon Samuels was also suspended on corruption charges. Given these cases, how can the league ensure the integrity of the tournament?
Yeah, sure. So you're talking of Nuwan Soisa. That was in 2017, when it was a four-day event, and the league was in its very nascent stage. As far as Marlon Samuels is concerned, he's never played a single match in T10. He's not played a single match in T10, so I don't know what kind of influence he would have been able to exert, whatever the charges against him are. But at the end of the day, I fully endorse the fact that this nuisance has to be handled, with an iron fist. So what we do is, we have outsourced our anti-corruption to the ICC itself, and we pay for their services. So both anti-corruption, where they provide integrity officers with each team, and at the venue also, the central team. So also anti-doping. Both are handled and governed by the anti-corruption unit of the ICC and the anti-doping unit of the ICC. And we pay for their services, if I may reiterate. So that is something we don't have the wherewithal per se within ourselves, to have that. Like what, for example, like BCCI has its own anti-corruption unit. So ICC takes care of those aspects, and I don't see anybody better than them who can, keep a check on what, if something wrong is happening. And if they do find out something like that, yes, we are fully supportive of the fact that they take the most drastic action, for want of a better word, that is possible. We definitely want the league to remain absolutely crystal clear.
My final question, Arvinda, is what would you like to see the league progress to over the next maybe five years?
So the Abu Dhabi T10 League, if you just take the graph that the growth graph that this league has achieved over the past 4 seasons and going into the 5th one now, 5 years down the line, I think it would be one of a major portions of the cricketing calendar, with more and more players wanting to be part of it. The franchise is financially gaining from this, and the league in a position over the next 5 years being able to take it to different parts of the world, having different editions, at least 2 if not 3 seasons of the T10. Abu Dhabi T10 of course is one part of it, creating another set of T10 leagues somewhere in the cricketing map. I see a lot of potential for this format. And you see, the idea is, all of us have, all of us who are fond of cricket, let's put it that way, who are fond of cricket and have played cricket, have always played these shorter formats of cricket, small spaces, whether it was 5 or 10 people getting together and playing. So we all understand these shorter formats. Seeing the popularity of the format, I see no reason why over the next couple of years you see this happening as structured leagues conducted by us across at least 2 other cricket playing nations.
All right, thank you for your time, Arvinda. To our audience, thank you for joining us, and we will see you in our next episode. Stay safe and take care.